Zed Run. Today we have In the Family Racing and myself, Golden Globe Master, the independent game designer. Um, we will be we're missing MJ tonight, but we'll get everything done hopefully really well. Shout out to MJ, my brother from another mother, and you know, King of Speed. And so in the family, how are you doing tonight?
Yeah, doing good, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I'm sad that MJ couldn't be here tonight, but we've all got things going on. That happens sometimes.
Yes, he got busy with work, is my understanding. So you gotta pay the bills.
That's it. You got to keep the lights on. You got to keep the horses going, right? You got to have money to race.
Yes, that's it. That is true. And so, just getting it started. What got you into Zed?
Yeah, I'm not a big crypto guy at all, actually. So I found the game from the Hamish and Andy podcast. I'm an Aussie, so they're big entertainers over here, and they started off. They were doing a little topic on their podcast talking about crypto and trying to figure out what was going to moon next, or did they want to create their own project or whatever.
Mm.
And anyway, they found Zed Run somehow, and they explained it terribly. And I thought, this is crap. Got no interest whatsoever. They were talking about races that you needed to qualify for, and only some people got in, and you had to pay these big entry fees and stuff. And I'm like, this sounds crap. But then a week or two later, Doofy contacted them and set them straight, said what it was. And I'm like, oh, okay, this sounds really cool. This is something I might be interested in.
Mm.
And so, went down the rabbit hole from there, kind of thing.
Okay. Is there anybody in the Zed community that you look up to?
It's got to be every content creator, honestly. Like, there's yourself, MGA Stables. Anyone who's making any kind of resource is someone I look up to. Like, if you look at the game of Zed Run and you look at how data-driven it is, imagine that everything was behind a paywall. Imagine that MJ's tool was behind a paywall. Imagine that Haku's behind a paywall. Know Your Horse is behind a paywall. How do you compete if that happens? Or if they don't share it at all? Like, the dwarf between people who have that information and people who don't would be massive.
Yes.
So anyone who's out there and just doing their own thing, putting their own content out there is someone that I look up to.
Oh, that's good. Oh, I was thinking, so how well, because you did get to the Hamish and Andy thing, and I don't know anything about that. I guess that is truly an Australian thing. I guess. How well did Doofy do on the show, and is he on there on a regular?
Yeah, no, he did great. He set them straight. He got them set up with the stable and stuff, described how the game worked, and it was just enough that you could get into it. You could sort of go, oh, okay, this sounds like something I might be interested in. And now I think they do a little segment. It's kind of like your show, but a podcast, right? And so they have their little segments each week kind of thing. And I think Zed Run makes an appearance roughly every 2 or 3 weeks. They've been doing some really funny bits, actually. Some really good stuff. But, it's just a little segment here and there now.
Okay. And so there's a lot of different ways to approach Zed. Do you find yourself more of a racer, a breeder, or somewhere in between?
I feel like I'm flopping around and going in every which direction. But at the moment, I'm trying to focus on racing. It feels like we know so much about breeding now, and it feels like there is a large element of randomness to it. And at the end of the day, you kind of got to be banging out a lot of horses if you want to get there. And that's expensive.
Yes.
But at least with racing, and the market's down right now, which is good if you want to try and pick up some races and slowly build your way up. I mean, you do have to realize that the game's in beta and racing is changing all the time. Mm-hmm. But, you can sort of slowly grind out a bit of profit that way and use that to sort of fund your breeding and go from there and slowly build your stable that way. So I'm a big fan of going for racing if you're a smaller stable. I think that's where you should be focusing.
Okay. One of the things that put you on my direct radar was you have a spreadsheet, a Google Doc.
Yeah.
That lists a lot of the horses.
Every horse that's ever bred.
Every horse that's ever bred. You have a document. I'm trying to find the link to it really fast. just so if you wouldn't mind going over it, and if you don't mind me sharing it with the link at least with the rest of the Zed world.
No, no, go for it. That's what it's there for.
All right, let's see if I can find this link. And so I don't know if anybody who's watching knows he in the family racing had to come out because somebody else tried to claim that they authored the document where it clearly says in the family racing on top of it, and somebody else tried to claim ownership to it, so he had to come out to state, "Nah, I actually did that because somebody is plagiarizing his work."
Yeah, let's not go down that rabbit hole,
I
please.
won't. I won't. I'm just making sure you're. I like to give credit where credit is due, and so I had to make sure that you got your credit for that. That was all that was about. So let me
Yeah,
see if I can
no,
find this.
thank you. I appreciate that. Let me put the link in the Twitch chat here.
Oh,
So
that works. I'll just pull it off the Twitch.
So
And so,
that links to all the spreadsheets that we've got on the website that get updated weekly. So there's only a couple at the moment, but we'll build it out as we go. And speaking of giving credit where credit's due, I mean, I can make those spreadsheets up so easily thanks to the data dumps that Haku does every day. Like without them doing that, it'd be so much harder for me. I'd have to pull all the data from the API itself, and I've done a little bit of API stuff, but not a ton. So the fact that they give those data dumps means that little content creators can do their thing. So I think it's awesome.
yes,
Yeah,
I
shout
do
out to
as well.
Haku.
I do as well. So this is going to. Here it goes. Allow and oh, okay.
All right, so if you click that first one there, the old breeders, that's the one there.
All
Yep.
right. And so all spreadsheets are made possible thanks to the daily data dump by Haku. It's just merely a starting point, like he just said. Please read this article. So
Yeah, so it's easier if you view it. Typically, if you're on full screen and you view it at 90%, everything fits nicely. But
okay. So,
so did you want to get into breeding a little bit then, and how I sort of got from the beginning to here, sort of thing?
yes, that would work. And so, really fast is just understanding how you're judging this. We'll start with elusive valley, then we'll go back to the beginning just because I have it up.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So all the spreadsheet there's sorted into bloodline and then male, female. So you got dads, mums all down the bottom there. So you're on Buta and dads.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's sorted by the number of offspring raced. So
Mm-hmm.
elusive valleys had 22 raced offspring.
Okay.
And then if you scroll right down to the end there, there's a percentage made at column.
Okay.
And that is what percentage of elusive valley's offspring have raced more than 20 times and have a win rate of at least 10%.
Mm. Why'd you
And
quick question, why'd you cap it at 20 or more than
yeah, it's tough, right? I mean, a
mm-hmm.
lot of these kind of cutoffs are arbitrary. You could make it 20 if you wanted. You could make it 50. When I first started, I was just sort of playing around with the numbers a lot, and 20 ended up being this sort of nice baseline. I mean, this is only meant to be a beginning. It's not the be-all, end-all. This doesn't mean that Elusive Valley is the best Buta and dad in the game or anything like that. It's just a
Okay.
place to start.
No doubt. No doubt. And so, all right. Well, thank you. And so, how did we're going to take it back? Let me stop sharing. Hi, stream. And so, take it back and to how did you come up with this spreadsheet then?
Yeah. So I started learning more and starting to dig into breeding a lot. I read a lot of ZG's articles and stuff at the start. That's why I'm called in the family racing. I thought inbreeding was going to be the future of the game, and now I'm not so sure, but the name's stuck. And then watching some of ZedInsights interviews on YouTube with BG and then Dan Chan. There's sort of that's the main three in the community. We've got ZG's theories, Dan Chan's theories, and the BG or XYZ talk.
Okay.
Man, it's tricky with the Aussie to American, eh? With the Z and the Z.
Yes.
And I just sort of wanted to try and figure out how to do it on my own. I like Dan Chan's ideas of that some horses might be better breeders than others, and sort of wanted to go down that way. But his blood tool being underneath means that I'm never going to buy it.
Yeah.
I like some of what Dan Shen's done, but Aneath as well, and truly out of my price range. So I wanted to sort of see if I could figure out if I could find a way to look at all the offspring that a horse has produced and see if sometimes some horses are actually better than others. So
Okay.
that's kind of how I got there. I'd like to try and go a step further and sort of separate it out and
Mhm.
say that, well, so like the data at the moment's tricky, right? Because every offspring that a horse produced was produced with another horse. So if it was only one horse making other horses, it'd be so much easier. But the fact that there's two variables makes it really tricky, and I think it's probably above my skill set to separate those out, but we'll
Mhm.
see how we go.
Okay.
I'd like to try and make it more complicated in the future if I can.
Okay. Like adding a score and stuff like that. I got you. That's what I'm working on
Yeah.
myself at the moment.
Oh, are we going to get to see it if you get there?
Oh, definitely. I'll release it for free. I'll do a tool similar to MJ's tool, but I want to make sure that it's something that works. And right now, I don't have enough money to actually test out everything. I only have one working breeding theory, and I don't own any of the horses that I need to breed with to continuously produce these racers. But I have several theories. Um,
Okay. Can I ask what your prominent breeding theory is? I'm excited to hear it.
it's pattern based.
Okay.
It's pattern based. I believe that if two horses can get together and produce winning horses, then these horses should, like, if you own the mare and the stallion and they breed and they produce one winner, you have to go back to that stallion two, three, four times maybe, and you might keep getting winner after winner after winner after winner. And so
Mhm.
it's a pattern that these two might be meant to breed. And then I found another pattern that exists within two males. Somebody called it the gay theory, where it's
Okay.
the offspring of one male bred to another Genesis horse.
Mm.
They produce winners every single
Okay.
time. This Genesis Stallion's horse produced a foal with another Genesis Stallion. They were all winning horses, and so I'm trying to find that pattern more. But that's looking deeply into to people's stables and the horses that I don't own. So it's taking a while to find it in another place.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? There could definitely be a bunch of pattern-based breeding that actually works, and we just don't know it yet because everyone's been breeding quite randomly and stuff at the start. And
Mm-hmm.
I've written a little bit on inbreeding because if it's not the future of the game, I would like it to be. I think that a lot of ZG's theories about the breeding algorithm and stuff is the way that it should work if it doesn't. And so I actually had a look at a bunch of different patterns that you can do with inbreeding and sort of looking at the lineage trees and trying to match up similar, say, crosses or paces that
Mm-hmm.
had these lineage trees that look similar.
Well, if you look
And
up,
I
they anybody who said the inbreeding doesn't work, and then I could just point like right to Moonlight Graham and be like, well, this is a very
is
very
he
good horse.
is Moonlight Graham inbred?
Very yes,
Oh, cool! I didn't know that. The most famous one is Catherine Johnson, of course. I didn't know Moonlight Graham
yeah,
was inbred
Moonlight
as
Graham's
well.
inbred. Um,
Oh man, that's a gun of a horse.
yes. Um, well, yeah, that's just pointing that in particular for that specific horse. So,
So one interesting thing that I did find when I was digging into that is we've never had at the time, which I think I wrote it about a month ago. We've never had an exclusive horse be inbred yet. So if you start with Genesis plus Genesis, make a legendary, breed
mhm,
that legendary with a second Genesis, go down to the third Genesis, then you could go down and bring that original one back in. No
mhm,
one's done it yet. No
yeah,
one.
I haven't even seen it done. Yes, you're correct.
So, like, just the fact that something like that, right? We haven't had enough time to do anything like that. So, there could definitely be some, like, sort of secrets kind of thing that we don't know about the game yet,
Yes,
for
I wanted
sure.
to do it. I don't have it just yet, but I'll probably go back and try it. But the guy raised like he heard me talking, I guess, about his horse. And so when I went to go back to the breed barn with him, it was just set way
Oh
higher than what it
no.
would be worth. So I was like, yeah, I can't do it.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, well, I don't think anybody studied with it, so maybe he'll come back and drop the price next month or whatever because he probably bred it within his own stable.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, hopefully you can keep an eye on it and snipe a breed at minimum.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
that's what I will try to do. And so, how do you to move away from breeding? How do you approach racing?
Oh, that's a broad question. Can you be a little more specific?
Well, do you downclass? Do you just try to win at
Yeah.
all cost, or there's many ways to approach racing.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
free
no,
racing
that's
have the way that everything's set up right now. With free racing going away, it seems like um, do you just free race for fun right now, or beforehand when we still had free racing, were you free racing to try to get some capital? Because I know somebody that was pulling in like enough to cover all their breeding costs just on free
mm,
racing. Central I think they estimated he pulled in like 3,000 in like a 2 week period in just free racing. So
yeah.
there's many ways to approach it.
Okay.
So
Yeah, okay. Thanks for elaborating out a bit. Yeah, I'm not a big fan personally of the free races when there's nothing on the line. I mean, it just means that you get to use them as free tanks basically. It's
yes,
nice if you are a smaller stable and you're a little bit worried about spending that 250 to try and discover what your horse can do, because I mean that does add up, right?
yes,
Like if you've got to do 20 or 30 races at $2.50 and you're barely winning, like before you know it, you spent $100.
yes,
But I'm uh, call me the bad guy, but I'm a big fan of tanking or sandbagging or whatever you want to call it. I think that with the way the game is now, I think it adds a really good element of strategy to it compared to just, oh, okay, my horse is best at 2,000 or it's best at 2,400. I'm going to race it at 2,400 until it can't win anymore, and then I'm just going to bench it. Like, to me, that's not that exciting. And I understand the counterpoint that okay, well, racing at 2,400 and then downclassing at 1,000 isn't much more interesting.
yeah.
But I think at least that way you can make sure that you can always be on the track, kind of thing. Like I don't want my horses sitting in class 2 or in class 1 and then getting stuck and being unable to race. I like racing. It's a racing game. I want to race.
I agree because I have a horse that's stuck in class too.
Oh no, and you just can't get it out.
It's
Oh, that's rough.
uh, probably highest base ability horse I have. And I define base ability a little bit differently than ZG and them. Well, I'll get into my theories on my own stream. This is more about you than I
Oh,
do.
okay.
But
I need. Well, you're starting to stream at Aussie times, right? Which is good for people like me. It means I'm going to
yeah,
have to tune in and hear these series.
it'll be about 8:30 p.m. your time,
But yeah, awesome.
which is 5:30 a.m. my time. So
Oh,
I'll probably go to sleep very shortly after we jump off stream, and then jump on to stream here as well.
oh, cool. So you're going to be streaming later tonight for me then?
Yes, but
Oh,
it's
sweet.
tomorrow for me.
Yeah. Oh,
All right.
cool.
So, what is your main motivation in
Oh,
Zed?
I don't know. I just want to. Yeah, that's a good question, isn't it? I don't know. I started the site in part because I wanted to make sure that I was doing my bit. I mean, if I was doing this stuff anyway for myself, I might as well share it. And
Mm,
then it keeps me honest, kind of thing. Like once you get into the habit of doing some content creation, doing some regular streaming or writing articles or making videos, whatever it is you do, the fact it keeps you honest and it keeps you go, oh, okay, I need to make sure that I'm breeding right, because I'm going to be writing about this. I need to make sure that, my decisions are good.
yes.
And so like, it's a really good way to keep it on track. So I don't know if I have an end goal in mind necessarily. I mean, it'd be awesome if one day, if, we could all be doing this kind of thing for a living,
Yeah.
like kind of like the poker pros. I mean, there was a bunch of grinders back in the day before everything sort of got shut down. I mean, it's still illegal here in Australia, but a lot of people, are making a decent middle class living just playing poker. You don't need to be making $27 million a year to be happy.
Yes, that is true. I think 52,000 a year, at least in Pennsylvania, you're pretty much living comfortably. So that's a
Yeah, I
thousand
mean,
weeks. So
yeah, that's well and truly the same here. Like my rent's only a couple $100 a week kind of thing. And, it's just me and my dog kind of thing. It'd be easy. If you could make 50, 60K a year grinding out Zed and working by your own schedule, maybe you do some content creation or whatever on the side, I think that'd be perfect. It'd be a
yeah,
great way to live.
yes, I agree. All right, and so are you having fun trying to turn a profit, or are you just like, oh god? And are you
I'm,
profitable at this point?
yeah, yeah, I'm profitable. I think my goal for this month, actually, which I failed miserably at, was to make half an ETH profit in racing. And I failed miserably in part because the tournament had all these frees and not a lot of paids. And so the paids have been brutally competitive. But I think I made 0.1, which is
Okay.
not great this month, but it's okay. I think total my stables made maybe 0.4, 0.5 now. So it's okay. I'm lucky in that I've got a few horses that can actually generate a little bit of income.
Okay, that's good. I only have one at this in particular moment that's capable of making a thing. So I'll probably be happy when they make those class changes with the dollar amounts because I think that was a great move. Personally, we'll get into that a little bit later, but I thought that was a great move because that's going to keep a lot of the riffraff out of the lower classes.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I thought that was an awesome change. I'm really excited. As soon as I hop off, actually, I've got my fingers crossed that it's gonna be there. That Zed's updated it already now that the tournament's over.
Yes. All right, and so oh, what is your approach to race selection? Since you do believe in downclassing, were you racing until fatigue hit in, and then downclassing while you were fatigued, and then waiting the time frame, or I'm gonna just ask you, what
Yeah,
is
yeah.
the race selection?
Yeah, so I've been using the StackNact extension. I think that you basically have to use it now in the Aegis with stamina being meaning that the monsters can race way more. I was actually in the minority that when the original changes to fatigue came out, so when we went from being able to run infinitely to fatigue, which a lot of people thought was too brutal, I loved it. I
Mm-hmm.
thought the fact that you could only race your horse maybe 3 or 4 times a day, and you did need to have more horses, but you could be more competitive. Like my best horse, Life from the Loam, in the fatigue area, it could win in like $15, $25 pots. Like that's massive.
Yes.
Whereas now in the stamina era, I've had to bring it down into $2.50, $5, and
Yeah.
that's really not good for anyone. Like, I mean, the people who are racing at 250 don't want to face that horse. Not
Yeah.
if it could win in $15, $25 pots. Like, that's not fair.
Yeah. This is true. I think like Zed's probably going to adjust the numbers more than likely to
Yeah.
probably around like five to six, maybe eight. Like they, I think before they even started doing anything, I guess I just would need me personally for as a game designer for this being a beta. I would just love for them to more or less tweak it every week or not to try to get that
Yeah.
perfect balance. But they're it's a great platform. I don't have anything negative to say as far as the what they just changed it to. I do think it could be a little bit less, and the timing on the announcements probably should have with the dollar amounts probably should have been made before the tournament so
Yeah.
that people didn't race their horses as best they could to try to get them up or whatever, just because they're going to miss out on the opportunity to win money on the way up. you know,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah, that's it. Like I get that they wanted to kind of quote unquote like trap the monsters, right? Like you could
yeah,
get the horses like Princess of Power, LBJ go all the way up to class one. But what about that little guy who, yeah, he maybe has 3 or 4 horses. He's classed them up in the freeze because he was trying to figure out, or she was trying to figure out what they were capable of, and now bam, they're stuck in class 3 or they're stuck in class 2 and they can't get out. Like, what are you meant to do? So it's a tricky balance, right? The more I've only been playing Zed for 3 months or so, but the longer I play, the more I realize that it's not just about maximizing your ROI now. It's about trying to plan for the future and go, oh, okay, if this change happens, will I be okay? If they do this, what will happen? Like, you've got to be thinking about the future just as much as thinking about the profit here and now.
Yes. Like I like to tell people, brace yourself in the future.
Yeah.
Like really brace yourself because the weather is going to flip the entire. We thought stamina and fatigue like tank the market. I think weather is going to like increase the market because I like Ebbs and he always says donkeys of today, legends of tomorrow, and so like
Yes.
you know I think we might have steeple racing or whatever in the future, and like who knows what they turn on and turn off because these horses probably have a lot of attributes that we don't even know about. Like I'm not sure how it works in real life horse racing. Like if a thoroughbred could compete with a standard bred pulling a cart. I don't think so.
Yeah, you wouldn't think so, right?
I don't
But
know. I don't know though, but
yeah,
that might be added to the platform in the future. I think they hinted at it or alluded to it in a little while that they may have something like that down in the future. And
yeah,
so,
it's interesting, right? I'm really intrigued to see what changes like weather and gate preference and stuff is going to do for the game. And actually, can I ask you a question as since you are a game designer? Can I
yeah,
ask you a question about your opinion on something there?
go ahead.
Right. So gate preference alone, okay. So it's so hard to know how weather's going to work, but gate preference specifically,
Mm-hmm.
does implementing gate preference kind of create this weird sort of rock paper scissors situation? So say that I'm a distance preference horse, right,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm competing against say Princess of Power regularly, right,
Mm-hmm.
and I know for a fact that Princess of Power's gate is gate 12. That's the gate that she's best at. Am I going to be better off trying to find out what my best gate is, or would I rather just take gate 12 and be like, okay, I'll never race against Princess of Power again because I'm stealing her gate every time? Like, isn't it going to kind of create this weird sort of rock, paper, scissors? Like, do I want to try and find my gate, or do I want to just try and find the best gate of my competitor and steal that one kind of thing?
That's that's not really a game design question. That's a strategy question. And so
Yeah. No, that's true. True. Good point.
from a game design perspective for the game already being here and how it works, uh, for me, gate preference would go out the window because
Yeah.
it's hard enough to get into a race at times, and you're just scrambling to actually just get in any gate. And so, if you
Yeah.
implement something like gate preference with the way the platform works now, it's going to create a whole other set of worms that I don't, as a player, I don't even want to try to be involved in. You know, because if my like I pick gate 8 a lot, but if gate eight's not open, I'll pick any other gate there is, and
Yeah.
so that's going to be a like you don't want people sitting around waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting to try to get their gate. They can't get in their gate, so they're not going to race. Like I know a lot of people now who only race their horses at their preferred distance. And you know this from experience,
Yep.
sitting down and waiting for the algorithm to spit out your distance and then try and get in it and to sometimes not be able to get no race that you waited a half hour, 45 minutes for or whatever. That's not fun. So, personally, I would go against gate preference if I was designing the game based off of how the game works now. Don't know what Zed has in the works to maybe make it easier. But at the moment, they were talking a queue system. So if you queue gate 12, then you're not going to even be in a race until gate 12 is open. So, that's not really going to help. You know, I don't know. It's just that's a big set of worms that uh, I wouldn't want to touch with a 10 feet pole because it's going to be a lot of outrage, people crying from the mountains when that if they do implement gate preference, and so Zed just generated some great goodwill within the community with this tournament. There are people who have complaints, but the tournament, in my opinion, went really great. Shout out to Poseidon and Timmy. I got to
Yeah,
give him a
congrats,
nickname
guys.
for winning the tournament. Couldn't happen to a better set of brothers. Um, getting back into that one, from a gamesmanship as a game player, if I was trying to go against Princess of Power, if I had a horse even capable of running with that beast, then I'm going for my gate. If my horse is capable of running against Princess of Power, I don't care about her gate.
Okay.
You know,
Hey, there you go. You're willing to race against the best. I like that.
if I had a horse that could race with Princess of Power, I'd dodge that. Any race Princess of Power is, I don't even care if it's her tank distance. I'm not getting in it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Have you ever tried to hunt down one of the monsters? Have you ever had a horse good enough that you kind of wanted to see where it stacks up?
Yeah, and then I got a reality check, like immediately.
Yeah, I can relate to that. I got my best horse, Life from the Loam. I bought it as a UUU, and so it started crushing it. And so I moved it up to $5, and then 15, and then 25. I'm like, all right, time to take a shot at a couple of 50s. And I've never raced at $50 before, and got my butt handed to me twice, and then dropped down. I did do one extra 25 against Princess of Power and actually pulled flames, but didn't get the results. And I'm like, okay, it's time to back off. I got my reality check there too.
Yeah, it's amazing when you get that reality check.
Yeah, it's nice to dream though, right? For that 10 minutes until she crushes you yet again.
Yeah. What was I getting ready to say? Getting back into the question. Sorry, spaced out for a second. Which has been your most emotional related moment with Zed? Like a high or a low?
Ooh. I mean, it's completely my fault, but I'm going to say my lowest moment was some of the tournament stuff. So, and highs as well, right? So after they announced the tournament, Know Your Horses actually did up a couple of mock-ups. They did one to show who would have qualified for a certain period, and then they did another one just before the tournament started. And one of my horses, that's a bit of a donkey, really. He came in the first mock-up that they did. It was like 20th on the list, and I'm like, what? Wow, like it's like 400 races in. I think it's maybe made 0.01 in profit or something. And I'm like, wow, okay, like we're going to do this thing. Like we are going to get ready for this tournament. So I did the right thing. Like I tanked it all the way down to class 5, 0 points. I was ready to go. And I'm like, oh, well, if that horse was Cinnamon Dreams, by the way. So it did qualify. It didn't get past the first round, but it did make it.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, oh, okay. If that horse can make it, well, what do I do about my other ones? Should I try, or like what should I do there? And so I decided not to tank anything else. I figured I'll just try and grind out the threes, right? Everyone else is going to be concentrating on the tournament, so I'm going to pivot. I'm going to try and win a bunch of money in the freeze. I had that goal of trying to make half an ETH profit in October, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to try and hit my goal. I'm not going to worry about the tournament with my other horses. And it's completely my fault, right? I probably should have tanked them anyway and waited to see what the landscape looked like. But as it turned out, with all the frees, it meant that the few paid races that Zed did have were absolutely stacked. And I ended up benching my horses for most of the 2 weeks kind of thing. So, like, I had Cinnamon Dreams that qualified for the tournament, which was awesome. I had one horse that teetered on the edge and kind of got into qualification, out, in, out, in, out, which was fun. I had a great time doing that. But I do wish that I'd kind of tanked them all. And so, I don't know. It's hard to say that that's a high or a low, right? But it did kind of feel like, oh, okay, maybe I should just be tanking my horses right down and being very careful about the future kind of thing. So it's a tough balance there. But, overall, I've loved the tournament. I thought it was great. I managed to catch the second half of most of the second half of the races this morning. I couldn't catch the first half, but I caught the second half, and it was awesome. Like it was so good to get to cheer these guys on, and and to sort of check out the rankings and see how they're updating. And that final race was really awesome. Like, it was a great experience overall, but I am very excited for tournaments to become more mainstream and more accessible to the little people like
Yeah,
myself.
like myself as well. Even though I have like 10 horses now, like when I first started streaming, I think I had three, so I think I'm profitable as well. But I would like to see horses that are tournaments that are catered more to the smaller or mid level stables. But that's me being more biased toward myself, and so I don't know how to
Yeah,
not be biased.
yeah, that's it, right? Like, I'm being completely biased there too,
Yeah.
and I mean, like let's be real. It was the first tournament. It should have showcased the best horses, and
Yes.
like you could be jealous of someone like Poseidon if you want to, but I mean, if you go down that track, you'll be jealous of everybody. I mean,
Yeah.
you're living the life, man. You're a game designer for a living. I'm jealous
Yeah.
of you.
Oh.
But then also, like, Poseidon entered the game at a time where I wouldn't have. You know,
Yes.
I wouldn't have paid that price for Nakamoto's at the time. They were racing. The system was still on ETH. They paid gas for every race.
Yeah.
No way I would have done that. No way. So he deserves the credit for one, doing it, and two,
Hmm.
sticking around this long. Like, good on him. Good
Yes.
on them. Sorry, because it is him and his brother. It's not
Our,
just Adam.
yes. Our guy. Our think about like the what's it? The four OGs that we know of: Bob the Nailer,
Mm-hmm.
Lucky Jack,
Mm-hmm.
Heroin, and King Beavershot. Right. Those are the four OGs. They were here before they were even racing. So, and
And
that's
that's
nuts to me. And
yeah.
they deserve everything that they get because they're like the earliest supporters of the Zed platform. That's like generation one right there.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I mean, I think you had Lucky Jacks on, right? I think it was in the
Yes.
interview with you guys, and he was talking about he would go around and pick up cans so that he had more money to pick up races and horses and stuff. I'm like, that's awesome. That's exactly who you
Yes.
want. He's
Yes.
still stuck around. Like, what, his stable now, it has to have to be worth seven figures easy, right? He could cash
Yeah.
out and live the high life, but he's
Yeah.
still here. That's awesome.
Yeah.
He deserves it.
Yeah. Just for the simple fact that he owns every single Peach Puff Genesis Nakamoto in the game. So
Yeah, that's so cool.
that's like great. Those are great stories to me because it does show that there's if you wait or if you even with these donkeys we have, I think like if they do introduce different types of variables or different types of racing formats, there can be a place for them because they keep maintaining that they feel like every horse has a place. That's from the dev team, and so that makes me think that they got something lined up that we're not even ready for or don't even know about. So you know,
Yeah, I'm interested to see if they can find a place for every horse. I mean, I come from my background for gaming wise is in card games. You know, I've been playing card games since I was 10, 11 years old kind of thing. So nearly 20 years now. And there's been a lot of card games that have come and gone. I mean, we are diverging quite a bit. But there's been a lot of card games that have come and gone who've tried to have a place for every card. And no one's ever done it. I mean, you play a little bit of Splinterlands, and again, I won't go deep into this. You
yeah,
introduced me to that game. That game, I think, is the closest card game that I've ever played that could have a home for every card. Because the rules, for those who don't play Splinterlands, a quick thing is there's basically it's kind of like an auto battler where you pick your team, and when you queue up to play against someone, they have completely random rule sets. And
mm,
these random rule sets means that sometimes cards that are utterly crap have a home. And that's
mm,
really cool. And
yeah,
even in that game system where they have these randomized rule sets that can create a home for every card, they've still chosen to have a rotation system
yes,
where after a certain amount of time, you just can't play cards anymore.
yes,
And the fact that even a game like that has eventually had to do it means
mm,
that I'm very skeptical as to whether or not Zed can find a home for every card. And I wrote a little article about that yesterday and put it up on the website for anyone who's interested a little bit more in going down that road.
yes. All right, and so we're gonna bring it
Sorry
back.
for the mini rant there.
It's okay. We're gonna bring it back to Zed real fast. Um, do you have any traditions our superstitions when it comes to Zed. Like if you watch basketball, if you remember like if you were watching like the NBA, they had this guy Giannis, the Greek freak, plays for Milwaukee, and he took the longest time to shoot his free throws, and like it got to a
Okay.
point where the fans were in shouting, going 1, 2, 3, 4, like they were actually
Awesome.
counting it. So, do you have any superstitions or anything like that? Like I only race now with my freaking like I got a donkey the LBJ goat shirt that I got from Zed Retro,
Oh,
and
God.
so I only now race with that. I don't know why, but I put the shirt on. I just washed it for the first time, so I don't have it on tonight.
Okay. Nah, my main superstition revolves around watching the races. Like sometimes you just get a feeling I'm not going to watch it. If I watch it, I'm going to rig it for
Mm.
whatever reason. So a lot of the tournament was great too, and I watched more races than ever before. Like because I was excited to do it, and then yeah, my superstition was around that. As I started to get into that, I had 5 races to go, kind of thing. I'm not going to watch it. If I watch it, it's going to lose. I'm just going to enter it. I'm going to go around. I'm going to go play with my dog for 10 minutes. I'm going to come back. Because if I watch it, I'm dead. I'm getting 12th. I'm going to be out of the tournament. That's it. So I don't watch it. So if
Oh,
the
that's
race matters, don't watch it. Don't watch it.
oh wow, that's
So
actually.
man, if
So
I'd
you
been
don't
in
watch
the
any of your
finals,
races?
no, you're gonna rig it, man. If I'd been in the finals this morning, I'd have gone to bed. I would have been like just under the blankets, just like, is it done?
Yes.
Done? Like, no, I just couldn't do it. But
Oh
I,
wow,
no.
that's
So
that's
that yeah,
hilarious.
that's my superstition. Don't watch the races.
Oh man. All right. So, what are your current thoughts on the current state of Zed?
Well, so I think they're moving in the right direction, right? I was certainly someone whose biggest complaint about Zed was the lack of communication. And I think to their credit, that's getting better and better. And so I'm happy with that. I like the fact that they are making these changes. For me personally, I suppose they are slower than I'd like. I'd like sort of maybe weekly changes to racing kind of thing, or I'd be happy with every couple of days, I suppose. But I also have the luxury of getting to race every day. If you're a smaller stable who has to miss 3 or 4 days for some reason, it can be brutal. So I understand their reasoning for wanting to take things slow. And I mean, to go to the changes sort of thing, you were someone who didn't like the initial implementation of fatigue. Is that correct?
No, I didn't have a problem with it. I didn't have enough.
Okay.
The only
Sorry.
problem I did have with the initial implementation of fatigue was that it really didn't help smaller stables out. If you had 1 or 2 horses, then um, that you only got like 2 races. Like when it first came out, I only raced each one of my horses one time
Yeah.
for the entire day, and then that was that. If I won, I won. If I lost, I lost. I wasn't messing with fatigue. That's what it was.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, and I feel for you there. And so, like, I agree with that, but that was a big change, right? That the community overall didn't like, and the market tanked as a result, kind of thing. And so now they've kind of gone the other extreme. I feel like stamina is probably a bit too much, but
mhm.
we'll see how that goes. But so rather than having these drastic changes of where fatigue is way too little and stamina is way too much, kind of thing, I think we're starting to see them take baby steps. Like this most recent change of eliminating the freeze and changing the entry fees for paid is a small step. A lot of people want more. They want more classes. They want the freeze to come back with paids, whatever. Like we're gonna have baby steps, and I feel like we're gonna have baby steps for a little while. We're gonna be scientists in the lab, right? We're not gonna change 17 variables at once. We're going to
Yeah.
change one at a time. We're going to say, okay, that's right. And then we're going to move on to the next one. And I'm okay with that.
Yes, that's why I said earlier. I would love for them, like not for them to keep tweaking it to find like the perfect middle ground. Like you said, I wouldn't
Yeah.
mind them making changes like once a week to something that's already in effect. Not adding stuff. Maybe like every 2 months they try to add something
Yeah.
new. But or not even 2 months might be too long in the NFT world. Maybe monthly try to add something new if they can, and then tweak it for the whole month until they get it completely right. And yeah, the tanking of the market, I kind of think that's by design as well. A lot of people don't know the story when they said like two guys going into a bar or one guy going into a bar to meet up with his buddies, and then they could buy a horse for like $50 and spend the entire night racing and having fun. And so right now, in July or August, you weren't getting a horse for $50. Even now, you're not getting a horse for $50, and you're damn sure if you do get one, you're not going to be able to race it for fun. You're just going to race it to lose money. And so I think they're trying to get to that overall grand vision to make a cheaper buy-in. I don't know how they're going to go about doing that, but because they made steps to make it very expensive back in like February, and so it's just a process, a long process that's going to take to get it to where it can be
Yeah,
digested by the mainstream.
I'm with you. I think a lot of the market did have to tank to a certain degree, especially on the UUU horses kind of thing. Like you just shouldn't be able to breed and make that level of profit kind of thing. But one issue that we're in at the moment, and I think part of that is just because it's a beta game and racing's always in flux. But at the moment, you can pick up solid races, not obviously not Princess of Power level, but solid horses for, not like honestly pretty reasonable prices. Like
Less than
just
point
before
one.
the just
Less than
before
point.
the just before the tournament, I bought my horse Demon in the Sheets. I don't know if you want to pull it up or not, but I've got it here. It, I think when I bought it, it had 5 races and it had gone something like 1, 1, 12, 12, 11. So it looked like a decent U. I gambled on that for point 1. And if you look at it now, it's had 67 races. It was a tournament horse, so it's been in a lot of frees, but it's a 20% winner.
That's
Like,
huge.
and if you know what you're doing and you're willing to gamble a little bit on horses that only have 5 or 10 races kind of thing, like you can get some really good horses at the moment for like point 1, point 2. And I know that that is still a lot of money, right? Like particularly with ETH being up at the moment, like point 2 is what, 800, 900 US kind of thing. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So you've got Demon in the Sheets there. I bought it with only 5 or 6 races, but like, look at that for a Z18 Buterin exclusive. Like that's a great horse for point 1.
Yes, very impressive. 19.4 win rate, 35.8 place, and 44% show, and
Yeah.
19% fire. Profit of 0.01, entry fees of 0.02. So yes, that's not a bad horse at all.
Yeah, and I mean, like if you go into the drill down and you look at only paid, so you get rid of the freed races from the recent tournament. I mean, it's still an 18% winner. It's only 27 races, but the profit, the ROI is 67%. Like that's a good horse.
Yes.
It's not a monster. It's not a Princess of Power, but like if you fill your stable with 5 or 6 of these, and you were talking before about how much it sucks for a small stable with 1 or 2 horses to sit there and go,
Yes.
okay, I got to wait for my 1,000 race, my 1,000. And it's got to be 250. It can't be a 5 or a 10. It's got to be 250, 1,000. And come on. If you can afford to build up 5 or 6 horses that all have different distances,
Mm-hmm.
then suddenly sitting down for a session of Zed isn't so bad, right? Because
Yes.
like, oh, okay, I'm basically waiting for a race. If it's a long distance race, I can put this horse. If it's mid, I can put that one. If it's short, I can do this one. The focusing on racing as a smaller stable, you get better returns on your time.
Mm-hmm. That's a fair enough point. And so covering, we're getting into the tournament then. Really
Yeah, tournament
fast.
time.
Shout out to Zombie Racing for covering the entirety of the tournament. And you did a great job. Just wish you would have grabbed Zed Retro or Boots and have him and Zook call the races. That's my only
Oh, that would have
complaint.
been cool.
That would have been fucking epic because I think they're the best two play by play or uh, uh, callers of races on the entire platform so far. Um,
Yeah, that would
and
have been
so
cool.
and so what did you think about the results? And if I am reading chat as well, if anybody has anything they want to add, and he's also reading chat at the same time. What were your overall thoughts of the finals today and yesterday?
Yeah, so I didn't watch any of the quarterfinals or anything. Being an Aussie, I think like my
Oh yeah,
quarterfinal was at like quarter to 2 in the morning or something. So I'm like, I'm not
yeah,
going to stay up. I'm going to lose that anyway. But I managed to watch half of the second half of the finals today, and it was awesome. Like
yes,
I had, obviously, I don't have a horse in that, but it was great. Like it was awesome to cheer it on. I even went into the Zed General Discord, which I don't like to go in very much, but I was in there and it's full of positivity and everyone's cheering and everyone's like it was awesome. Like it
yeah,
feels like today everyone is positive on Zed, and
yes,
credit to their due. I mean, they have had some screw ups in the past, right, with drops and even the recent NASCAR pass was a bit of a debacle, but the
yes,
tournament from the get go, zero problems,
at
zero
all, at all. Wasn't
the
any.
entire way through. And like, if you'd asked me at the start, are there going to be problems with this tournament? I would have said yeah.
Yeah,
And they pulled it off without a hitch. So props to them. I thought it was awesome. I think the community got behind it. I'm super excited. I can't wait for when these tournaments are open to the little people as well.
yes. That's the only thing. Yeah, I do. I am looking forward to more. Like my one complaint about Zed is always I want more, and so
Yeah.
I think a lot of people have that complaint. Like that, like if they're not complaining, then they're not doing a good enough job. I think complaints are a good thing in this from the game perspective because it means people want to play your game and they care. And we are a part of an amazing community and we do care about the product. Some people
Yeah.
care about their horses like they're like how I care about my dogs. Excuse me. So we are on a great platform.
I'm completely with you there. I mean, the community does care a lot. And I mean, Zed is closer, honestly, to a lifestyle at this point than a game, right? I mean, we're spending hours every day. We're here talking. You're here at what, 10, 11 o'clock at night talking to some dude from Australia for a couple of hours. Like, this is going well and truly beyond a game to me. So the fact that, yeah, people care so much, even if there is a decent amount of criticisms kind of thing or negativity, I mean, yeah, people care.
Yes. But getting into this tournament, did you have any predictions when it got to the finals? Because I know you had to have looked over like who was all participating.
Yeah, I mean, if I was going to put money on it, I would have put money on Princess of Power.
Mm.
That was kind of the horse that I was the most familiar with in the top 12. Otherwise, what was my like sneak peek choice was the legendary whose name escapes me now, which is very annoying.
Oh, I don't
What
know.
was the legendary Buterin?
I know exactly what horse you're talking about. I
Yeah, I
can't
can't.
get this name
Um,
off my top of my head. Oh God. Oh,
Wait,
I
I'm
can't get
gonna
that.
find.
Hold,
We're going streaking.
oh yes.
That was my sleeper pick. I was super excited to see that horse made it. It looks like a gun. I've just got it up now. It's made 2 ETH profit now thanks to this tournament. It was awesome to see a legendary Buterin get there. So
Yes.
that was my sleeper pick. But far as the where I would have put my money, I would have put it on Princess.
I actually I think I missed the 1,000 meter because I was still in the process of moving some furniture and stuff, and then driving back home, and I couldn't like I was trying to watch the whole of the grand finale and couldn't really like I was watching the races in 2D, and so
Mm-hmm.
I actually um, I went with Insane Him. Like, yeah, I see you, Blazer. Yes, everybody knows I
Yeah.
went with Insane Him, and he didn't get there. And before that, it was Breathless Edge, and he came later. And that was a terrible. Oh God,
Oh,
terrible,
what an
terrible
upset
pick.
that race was.
Yes, that was bad. Wow, that's all I can say about that race. But then, when the finals were completely done, I actually looked at that horse. The hell's its name? Figured it out and saw that it had fire at 1,600, 2,000, 2,200, and I think 2,600. I think it had fire in all those last distances, including 1,600. And so I was like, man, this horse is probably going to win it, just based off of the fire.
Yeah, well, damn, I didn't actually go in and look at that. You're right. Yeah, it pulled. Yeah, flames in the 16, the 2022, and the 26. That's crazy.
Yeah, and so I only got in at 1,400 and on, and I was like, man, this horse has flames in these three. It's probably going to win it. I don't know if they were talking about that on the stream or whatnot, but it did have the most amount of fire so that I seen. And so I was like, yeah, this is probably gonna win it. And then I saw it was Desi's, and so which is Poseidon's brother Tim. Uh, so I was automatically rooting for it because those four OGs, getting back into those four OGs are great people. Like Lucky Jack's one of the most how can I say? I know I'm getting a little sidetracked, but Lucky Jack's one of the most charitable guys in the entire Zed community. But Poseidon himself is also very charitable as well, and he's just a genuine good dude. Even though like people get mad that he says some bad things about Zed, but everybody can offer their fair criticism as well. But he's the only person I know who will sell you a horse, and if it's a donkey, he'll take it back and give you another horse. I don't know anybody else in the community that's doing that, you know, at all. So that to me, it couldn't have happened to a better set of group of peoples. And I think Poseidon himself was a lot of people's how you say segue into the Zed Run world, you know, because of the videos he was making. Yes.
Yeah, no, myself included. Hang on, I think we've got a bit of an echo. Is that on my end or yours?
Oh, no, you're good. I don't hear you echoing, so.
Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah, we're good now. Sorry. We're Poseidon. Yeah, I mean, so after I heard about it on the Hamish and Andy and Doofy jumped in and talked about it, I don't think Doofy actually plugged his stuff from memory at first. So I went on YouTube and watched a bunch of Poseidon's old streams, and, you know, he had a bunch of beginner YouTube videos and stuff as well where you could, because it's like we forget about it. It's a complicated game to get into, like
Yes.
all the breed types and the bloodlines and the Z number and the entry, like it's daunting to get into at first. And I mean, you had that awesome interaction actually with ZedInsights, right? Where you're like an exclusive male plus a Genesis female doesn't make an elite or whatever, right? You guys had that.
It makes an elite. Yes.
It does make an elite. Sorry.
It makes an elite. Yes.
Yeah, like, you know, so just the fact that someone like that who has interviewed so many people in the game and stuff, like there's so many basics that you need to remember, and it's so easy to have that slip out of your head kind of thing. Like the fact that Poseidon got in so early, chose to stick around,
mm-hmm.
and not only that, but actually make content to make sure that this community grew. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better winner of the first tournament, him and his brother. It's absolutely perfect.
Nice. Well, think about it. Me and you are in this Facebook group, and what was it? I've been following you on Twitter, and then you said something inside the in the group, and I was like, "Are you in the family race?" And you was like, "Yep." I was like, "Can I interview you from there?" And so, you know, it's a great community he's built. That's, you know, for Poseidon, Lucky Jack's building a great community as well inside of Discord. The Pony Plug has built a great community. Sean vs. All, Heroin, a lot of the content creators. Doofy's not as active as he was before, but these are like Discord communities as well. And so, you know, it's the people here on this Zed platform. They're really amazing. I spend a lot of my time watching the Pony Plug and Lucky Jacks and Heroines, but I'm almost always inside of Sean versus All's Discord because it's a lot of degenerate gamblers in there. Like, and you know, I was working nights because I actually work at the chemical. I was working at the chemical engineer, and so I would be on all night because I work night shifts, and then kicking people off like, "Yo, go to bed, bro. You got to go to work tomorrow." And, oh man, I'm like, bro, it's 4. I get off at 6:30, and you're still up. Like, go to sleep, man. Or I'd be up with the Aussies, like LJD racing and stuff like that, early in the morning for us. He said, "Speak for yourself." Blazer's also like Blazer OG's in there. He's also inside the Sean Versal chat, Discord chat, because we're in voice chat. We're not in the typing stuff. So that a lot of degeneracy goes on there, and so it's a great thing that this Zed community can bring people from all across the world into one solid, like cohesive group. I mean, there's bad things that happen, but for the most part, like as a community, we try not to do bad things. But it's like in the real world, you got criminals and stuff. So we
Yeah,
can't
no,
help it. We can't help it. But what we can do is educate people to not be scammed. And I
yeah,
haven't heard
no.
of any big scams in at least 2 months, at least a month. There hasn't been any big scams that happened.
Yeah, no, you're right. Actually, that's a good point.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, there's so many of the OGs or the prominent community content creators have gone the extra step and made these little communities that you can go and hang out, right? And Poseidon's chosen to go with the Facebook route, which is good for the people who are sort of more traditional. I mean, myself included, I generally prefer Facebook
Mm-hmm.
to Twitter and Discord. But then I also spend a good amount of time. I read the Syntribus Discord is awesome. I hang out there a fair bit. I don't chat too much because I'm often, working on something or something at the same time. But I read that everything that's said. I read that.
Mm-hmm.
I make sure to once a day to go through and read, and it's awesome. I mean, the Zed general Discord can be a little toxic at times, but they're working to clean that up, and I hear it has gotten a lot better lately. But yeah, there's a lot of these sort of little niche communities in a niche that you can
Yeah.
already go and hang out and you can make friends, and I think it's awesome. It's great. It's so much more than just a game. It really is a lifestyle kind of thing.
Yes. And then just gonna go back to the tournament a little bit. How about that finish though? Princess of Power at that last race just like blew by everybody.
Yeah, that was nuts.
Nuts. And then we had to go back, and then they had to go back and see who won it by checking wins and places and stuff like that. And the horse that won the competition. I'm old, so I freaking got to keep looking at the name. Figured it
Yeah, I
out.
figured it out.
Figured it out. The horse that won got a first, a second, and a third, and that's what took it. Just hitting the podium three
Yeah.
times.
That was enough. But I mean, even if you look at Ready, Set, Boom, who came second or third in the tournament, I can't remember which, but if you look at their 6 finishes, I've got it up now. They came 11th, 4th, 2nd, 2nd, 4th, 2nd. Like,
Yeah.
that's a pretty damn good run, right? And
Yeah.
particularly in this field. This field was stacked.
Stacks. Yes. Stacked field. So yeah, that's pretty. Those are all fucking the best of the best. And so for a tournament like this, I have no problem with them doing that like monthly, like this specific tournament. If they could run something else simultaneously, that might be asking for too much at this particular moment. But yes, it was great seeing the monsters out. And, we've heard legends about this, and I would like to see like if like the Ducky Malins or the Breathless Edge and them get back in and get another shot at winning this thing, or the Insane Hymns or something, or maybe if they could do a horse tournament with under 50 races or something like that. Um, I don't know. Also, during this time, we did have the Maiden go on. Did you participate in the Maiden?
Yeah, so because I come from card games and stuff, like I've been playing online card games and stuff as well for 10 years or so. And 10 years ago, even then, there were a lot of community run tournaments, right? And they sucked. Absolutely sucked, right? You and I would get on to the platform or whatever because we were matched up in the first round and we'd play. And then you would win because you're the better player, but I would scum you. I would send the Discord it wasn't Discord at the time, but the moderator, a fake image kind of thing that said that I won and you didn't. And
Oh wow.
and stuff like that would happen all the time, right? And because it's a tournament that has rounds during a day kind of thing, like they'd get all the results. I would get the win because I lied about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then they'd already have the next round pairings up, so it's too late to fix it. So because of all these crappy experiences I had in the past, I was like, I'm not touching the zombie racing stuff with a 10-foot pole when it started.
Mm-hmm.
But I missed out massively. Like, they've done a great job. Everything's automated. You're not going to have any problems like that. Buying and minting and stuff was smooth. So I did end up buying a token for the maiden, and I had one entry, and it did crap. It was Mr. Hip Hop Hoppopotamus was my horse, because that's a fun name to say.
Yes.
But I did crap, but I had a blast playing it, and so I went and bought a second token now on the secondary market because minting shut down now. But I'm stoked for zombie tournaments, man. I think that it's great, and that on the subject of that as well, that partnership that Zed did with Zombie, deciding to sponsor them, that's my favorite partnership
Yes.
that Zed's done, 100%. Like I can imagine that when Zed Run announced the tournaments themselves, that Zombie must have been like, oh no,
Yeah.
like, are they just going to take me out here and do everything on the platform themselves? And because he's put so much work into that platform, right? Like, if you haven't used it, it's smooth. It's awesome. It's a great experience. You should get involved. And so to me, the fact that Zed Run was like, nah, this is a great community member. He's done a lot for the community. Let's get behind him. I loved it. That's my favorite partnership that Zed's done. Well and
Yeah.
truly.
That is actually also my favorite partnership. And I think anybody who participates in the platform, they probably don't care about the NASCAR partnership, don't care about Stella Artois, don't care about Atari and the other venture capitalists. Now the zombie, to me, it was really the zombie partnership or the support of zombies, the racing circuit. That's a great, like, that's also my favorite one, just because he's been putting on tournaments, or he's been hosting tournaments as well. Because the Pony Club, they I believe the Pony Plug did the second ever tournament. The first one with the Bored Apes tournament. That was the very first Zed tournament with the Bored Apes put on, and
Okay.
then Pony Plug did one right after that, and Heroin did one almost simultaneously. Heroin ran a donkey tournament, and the Pony Plug ran their first tournament. I think they're up to 6 now, and they
Oh,
now
cool.
exclusively run their tournaments on Zombies platform. I believe Zed Chattel ran his on his zombie platform,
Yeah.
and so it's been pretty dope. Anybody, all you really have to do if you want to start a tournament now is to talk to Zombie and tell them exactly what you want. And that'll segue into the Digital Breeders' Cup is coming in December.
Oh, yeah.
Will start within next week. The person who was designing the tokens, he backed out on me, so I have to get another person to design the tokens before I can start the mint. And so that I'll be releasing the roll set tomorrow, and the buy-ins, like it's a
Woo.
tiered buy-in. Highest I believe is 160, lowest is 40 to buy in, because you're buying in based off of the quality of your horse, and so it's gonna run
Mm.
about 2 weeks, and I'll release the roll set for it tomorrow as well. So shout
Oh,
out,
awesome. I'm stoked for that.
yes, shout out to everybody who helped, and it was a lot of content creators that helped actually set up a rule set for it. Got to thank Lucky Jack for helping me the most. I think he's and MJ, my partner, brother from another mother who wasn't here at the moment. Gotta definitely thank them for helping me get this thing off the ground. But
Yeah, awesome. I've heard a little bit about that. You've kind of teased it a little bit on some of the previous episodes of Inside Zed, and yeah, I'm super excited to see this rule set.
yes,
Zombie, yeah, like I said, because I had those bad experiences years ago, I kind of shied away from a lot of the third party stuff. But Zombie's got me right in it now. I'm keen. I'm
yeah.
excited to get some more tournaments going.
If you missed out for right now, if you missed out on the tokens, there will be more tokens printed, but it's not going to be the same token. He's breaking it down into seasons, and if you own a token, you might not want to sell it because you're going to get airdrop tokens for season 2. Even though there's 6 more races left on the ZRC, you will be airdropped when the next set of races comes along.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's cool to know. Yeah, they've done really well to make sure that the tokens have value just beyond the entry fee kind of thing as well, right? Like I think I missed that, but didn't they airdrop some like trading cards kind of thing of your horse,
Oh
or have
no!
they not done that
You,
yet?
if you're on zombies, join his Discord. It's something specific for your horse, but you can mint like some type of trading card, like you were saying. I'm not 100% sure how that's going to work, but he didn't actually start minting that just yet.
Oh, cool. Okay, yeah, I'm going to look into that later then because they looked really cool. I saw it on the website and I'm like, yeah, okay, I definitely want that for one of my horses for
Yes.
sure.
And so there's 34 people in the audience. Does anyone have a question for In the Family Racing? Because I know we'll give it a couple more minutes. We're busted up, but if anybody has a question for him, now's the perfect time. And I don't know if he did. And Blazer, I see. Yeah, he should say hello. Don't get him into the degeneracy with the rest of us.
Yeah, I need to check out this Discord. Apparently, it sounds pretty good.
I'll give you an invite. All right, wait up. I'll put it in the chat. Just it's my boy. Let's see if I can find it. Hold on. Uh,
So yeah, while we're waiting to see if there are any questions, kind of thing. How did the Zed News Network start? Have you guys actually done that story yet? That was one of the stories I'd like to do an article on for Zed Storytime or something at some point. How did you and MJ meet?
okay, so what happened was MJ was streaming by himself, and Sean had raided him, and a couple of times because he was streaming at like all these off the wall times, I want to say, and I was watching like all of his streams and very intrigued by what he was doing, and you know, I actually just asked him if he wanted to do something else, and so we sat down for like a week or two, and just started throwing ideas back and forth on how to run, how to do the Zed News Network, because it's not just inside Zed Run. There's going to be more stuff coming that we have planned for ZNN, as well as ZedInsights, who joined.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so we're going to expand it to just cover everything on Zed, and maybe do like another weekly show or whatnot.
Oh, awesome!
And so yes, it's it was basically him and myself just going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth to get a good format. And then I started like how you say going forward to find like the biggest names we could get for the first couple of interviews. Like I think episode 1 is King Beaver Shot and Eric Wong of the Medium articles, the actual
Mm-hmm.
legitimate journalist. That was episode 1, and then we went for I'm trying to think episode 2. I think episode 2 was Poseidon and Boots, and then
Yeah.
episode 3 was ZG and Centrobos. And I pulled him from the Facebook group, and MJ was pulling like ZG and Eric Wong's, and like we're just pulling the people we wanted to hear from the most. Like I wanted to get Bob the Neller for the longest, but he wants to remain private, which is cool. And then we got Dan Chan, which I was happy about. And so we just come in every week. We just see who we want to interview, and then we go about trying to contact the people, and then like try to interview them.
Oh, it's awesome. I mean, I love it. I don't get a chance to watch live very often because it's in the middle of the day kind of thing for me. But I've watched every VOD. I think I am a week or so behind at the moment. But yeah, I've watched every VOD. Like it's awesome. It's been really cool. Because you've often had multiple guests as well. You kind of get to see the interactions and stuff there, and because you've got like your own unique interview style and stuff, which is really nice. Like it's nice that there's a platform that's a little bit more casual as well. Like I love ZedInsights and how he goes so deep on topics, and he's
Yeah,
really getting into the nitty gritty of Zed kind of thing. But it's nice to have the opposite of that as well. It's nice to sort of see some of the bigger names in the game, just have a casual chat and sort of get their opinions and see how they started and stuff. It's really cool. You're doing great.
yeah. Well, shout out to Insight as well, because I'm a huge fan of a huge fan of Zed Insight. And if you haven't watched his interviews, and you're like really addicted to Zed like me, I would say you have to at least watch Murphy's Law and arbitrage racings. Um, you have to watch those interviews.
100%. I think I've even watched that Murphy's Law one like 3 or 4 times. I've watched the arbitrage one multiple times. I think I've watched a couple of the others multiple times as well. Like they're that good. They
Yes,
are that good.
yes. And so those were links to their Twitch pages, or excuse me, everything for Zed Insight. And so yeah, it's imperative that like you follow my friends. Shameless plug, but also like if you're racing, you're having trouble. I think, and I'm not just saying this because he's a good dude, but MJ Informatics to me is the best tool for racing on the entire platform. I'm not just saying that to say that. I actually truly believe that. But I do evaluations in the mornings now, or the evenings for Aussie time. So that's that's what I use. I use MJ Informatics, and then I throw it in Stack Max, and then I run it through Know Your Horses because they still have odds. And so if I'm doing an evaluation, your horse still has odds, and I can tell you if it's a donkey or not.
Yeah, cool. It's nice to see that you go in depth with so many different tools and stuff there too. That's great.
All right, and so
Yeah, we have a question there. I think from Pezza76. Man, I'm terrified of reading out anyone's username in case I mispronounce it. I don't know how you streamers do that. Like it could say something simple like in the family racing. I'd be like in the family, like it's hard. It's scary, man, reading out names.
all right, and so do you guys think racing will get easier this week without free races? I'll let you go first in the family.
Yeah, for me, I think it's 100% going to make them easier. I mean, Zed talked a little bit about in their AMA like a paradox of choice kind of thing, and they didn't go into it super in depth, but it is a real thing. There's a famous study that started it all actually, and I'm going to butcher it, but I'm going to basically they did an experiment in a supermarket kind of thing where they set up free samples. They did 2 rounds of it. They did 24 jams, 24 different flavors, and then you could taste as many as you want, and then you got a little coupon for like 15% off your purchase or whatever, and that way they could track the sales kind of thing. So they did it with like 24, then they ran it again with 6, so far less options. And the people who saw the 6 different samples and chose to try one of them and then get the coupon, it was massive difference. I think the 24 had an increase in sales of like, I'm going to butcher the numbers, but say it was like 5%.
Mm.
Compared to the 6 different options, it was like 50% increase in sales. Like it was huge.
Oh
So
wow.
like there is a big thing where if you overwhelm people with too many choices, they're just not going to do it, or they're going to pick a different one kind of thing. So I think once people, I've really gone off track here, haven't I? I'm sorry.
It's okay.
But
Now, you're basically explaining why there should be why they said the thing with the choices
uh,
to
Yeah,
make.
so yeah, if you offer people certain choices, kind of thing, like they are going to take it. There are far more casual players out there than I think we realize that are
Mm.
just happy to race their horses in frees. Like they will pay the 250 or whatever, but they're equally happy just playing the frees and watching the races. They just want to be involved. They want to play the game. They want to have fun. But now that they don't have the option for free, I think they are just going to jump in the paids. There's going to be a lot more people in the paid, and then the strength of opposition is going to go down. So I do think that they're going to get easier. You might need to wait a day or two. I think I'm probably going to wait a day or so before I jump back on the track, just for those people who have tanked down. Like I think that they're going to run right back up in the first day or so. So I think if you can afford to take a day off, if you've got some other stuff you want to do, it's a good time to do it. But otherwise, yeah, I absolutely think that the fields are going to get weaker.
I I think the fields will get weaker after, depending on where you're racing at,
Mm-hmm.
after the changes to the buy-ins go down.
Well, that's going to happen at the same time, right? Like they're going to take. Ah, come on, GGM. They've got to take away freeze and do that at the same time, right?
Yeah,
Come on,
I think they're going to take away
please,
freeze and do that at the same
please.
time. But when's that going to happen? I don't know. I'm not like I'm just fingers crossed that it happens tonight or tomorrow morning. That they take the free races out and then change the buy-ins. And so that was the only question asked. But yes, I think free. I think it's going to get class four. It's going to probably go back to how it was in June or July. When we go with more of the natural U-shaped racers than the manufactured U-shaped racers.
Great. I think it's gonna get really interesting too. I don't know if anyone has ever tried to sort of position their horse around the class 3, class 4, class 2 range and actually kick off these tank races, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
you can look now, particularly with some of the extensions like Stack Nax or the Know Your Horses extension, you can look at a race and go, okay, those 4 horses are clearly trying to downclass. So theoretically, if you can move your average horse up, oh, I mean, you don't have to, right? You can actually race outside of your class right now.
Yes.
So you can actually, if you're willing to sort of sit there and look at the fields, you should actually be able to find like a class 3 250 where people are trying to tank back to 4 to take advantage of the, like, what's the big cap in class 4? I think it stopped at $10 now.
Mm-hmm.
So there
No.
should be a
Yes.
bunch of horses, right, that are like tanking in the 250 class 3s and then racing in the class 4 $10 or whatever to win. So you
Mm-hmm.
should be able to actually snipe a bunch of these cheap 250s if you're looking at it.
Yes. Sounds about right. And so I would like to be in class five. I guess I don't know. Stay at 250 and five with my horses, but 250 to 10. Because all but three of my horses are in class four, and I don't think they could run with the people that were there in the last couple of weeks. So even at 250 or $5 or whatever the price is, the competition was just too stiff for them. So hopefully, and now in the next week or two, it comes back up. But I'm also
Yeah.
interested and excited for Zed's next tournament as well. And I don't before we head off, I don't know what we're doing November 6th, but there will be a charity event going on for Extra Life on that day. So everybody be prepared for some news to come out very soon for a charity stream on November 6th.
Oh, awesome.
So thank you for the interview tonight in the family, and thank everybody for coming through. If you're in Australia, I'll be on 8:30 your time tomorrow or later on today. It's,
Yeah, awesome. Thanks again for having me. It's been awesome.
yes.